bill buyback. That's going to make this thing run. For y'all that don't know what that means, that just means that Square as a company is going to buy back a lot of their shares, $1 billion worth. So that's something interesting for sure.
Okay, I'm in the StreamYard. Ethan, you might have to turn me down in the Discord. Okay, cool.
Gotcha.
Good to go.
What's up, Mr. Happy?
All right, SQ is ripping. Apple's making higher highs and after hours here.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Apple is like one of the biggest holders in the S&P, or vice versa. It's like it's one of the biggest players in it.
Yeah, I mean it's heavily weighted for sure in the S&P. Yeah.
So, for you guys that swing and spy and stuff, whenever Apple earnings comes around, just know that this is definitely going to drag the market one way or the other wherever it goes. So we're obviously up a lot last 2 days, so that does leave a chance that maybe things do roll over. A couple of the tech earnings haven't done well, but today it looks like things are actually doing pretty good. I don't know that they're correlated with Apple very tightly, like Square and stuff like that, but just something to consider in the future.
Yeah, Apple is 7.1% weighted on the index for S&P 500. And it's just that the most heavily weighted one. It's listed at number 1.
Yeah,
for most weight. Yeah. So depending on what Apple does, be prepared if you have any positions in SPY tomorrow. Be held overnight, and we'll see what happens. Okay, 4:15 p.m. Eastern now.
Looking at Apple here on the daily, though, if you guys look at my screen, I mean, we do have somewhat of a bull flag formation here on the daily. So, you can even just say a downtrend. But if we do break out of this and they actually, unexpectedly beat, may see some pretty nice momentum on Apple. It tends to follow the earnings trend for a few days. I mean, just going back to the last earnings when they dropped, you got a couple days sell off there after that. So Apple might be in play for us depending on what this does. What's up, YouTube? You guys can drop comments because we can see them. So if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free. So it looks like maybe the number comes out at 5 Eastern here. So we may be here for a little bit, but GoDaddy. Looks like they did all right. Mr. Happy. Their number isn't out yet. This isn't a volatile name, you know. There's not a whole lot of news around it that much. As you can tell, it's just kind of goes flat up and down. I mean, this is a 3-year chart.
Okay, I guess the announcement for Apple earnings is actually at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. So about what, 12 more minutes?
Yeah, I would think the number would come out before the call. Looks like the call's at 5 Eastern, so what,
Calls at
about
5.
45 minutes. So I
Yeah.
would think that we'd get some sort of number here soon.
Yeah, I think the data comes out at 4:30, and then they have the call at 5 Eastern.
Perfect.
So we'll probably see a move at 4:30 when the data comes out, and then when they do the call at 5 p.m. Eastern, we'll probably see a secondary move there. SQ now up 16% in after hours.
So Apple's moved from about 170, closed here about 178 in 2 days. So that's a really nice move. Up 2% today. I don't know. Maybe that's a precursor, or maybe that's somewhat of a big trap. Who knows?
Sometimes it's a precursor, right? They'll run it up, expecting it to be taken negatively, and then it sells off.
Yeah.
So who's in Apple earnings plays? Anyone?
Be honest. Who's in it? Sweet.
Oh
Calls
yes, Stockbuster just got off of his stream. He streams on Thursdays and Fridays, but Thursdays from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. And he was in there live trading with the Discord just a little bit ago. And they were playing going long on Apple basically.
Let's see, Paramount did pretty good. All right, so we should see something happen here in about 9 minutes. So
Yep.
let's see.
Stickman said he was long on Apple. Looks like he took 10% before the regular session closed, I believe. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you enter an earnings play and you get some good profit on the table before the actual earnings announcement, you might as well just take the free money, because it could go either way after the earnings. But I mean, I usually do. Sometimes I'll play at earnings, and obviously it's a lotto type play, so definitely willing to lose anything I risk because it's a lotto. But sometimes get like 20% on the table before the regular session ends. Sometimes I'll just take it and Mr. Happy says all I see is green, green, green no matter what. All I do is win, win, win no matter what. Okay, 4:22 p.m. Eastern. Got about 8 minutes here till we get the data. And then just like Ethan said, 5 p.m. Eastern, they'll have the call. Yeah, he said don't get monetized on YouTube for playing that.
Yeah. So what do you guys think it's going to happen? I mean, I don't want to persuade anyone or make anyone get antsy or nervous if they have money in it, but just at least from what I think, I don't know that the iPhone 15 hype is what they thought it may have been. But they did come out with the new MacBook. They also have the new VR set that's out. But I
Yeah.
think it's a little expensive for most people. But
Yeah,
the
isn't it
stock's
like
been strong.
wasn't it like $2,000 or something like that
Yeah, it was like
crazy?
1,500 or 2 grand, something
Yeah.
crazy like that.
I'm gonna post a chart in the Discord chat. It's basically what Apple did one day after the earnings for the past four previous earnings. So they were on a hot streak there. August 27th of 2022, they were up 7.5% the next day. February 1st, 2023, when they reported Q4 of last year, they were up about 2.5% the next day. And then May 4th, 2023, they were up about 4.6% the next day. The most recent earnings from August 3rd, they were actually down 4.8%. So just a little bit of history there as far as what the price of Apple did one day after they announced.
Yeah, so tomorrow Apple's probably going to be, if not the main watch, one of the main watches. So I mean,
Yeah,
just from seeing that chart there, that little graph, there's definitely some good moves come out of it. So
I'm definitely going to be trading Apple tomorrow
yeah,
because once this earnings, the cat's out the bag. I think we're going to see a trending day, whether it's up or down. I don't really care because I'll short it if I have to. But I think we will see a trending day tomorrow on Apple, either trending up or trending down, depending on how investors take the earnings, whether it's positive or negative. And then tomorrow I plan on playing a nice trend on Apple.
yeah. For you guys watching my screen, let's just go back and look at some of these earnings and the moves after. I mean, this most recent one, whenever they didn't do very good and they actually were down, like I
Yep.
said earlier, you do get a trend in that same direction. Here, earnings were good. That kind of went flat on this one, but again, you have that nice gap up. And actually, the day after earnings, you do have a pretty solid move, about 171 to 174. So I mean, a $3 move on Apple is great.
Yep, absolutely. And it's been, with the options contracts, I mean, depending on expiration date and strike price, a $3 move, we're talking triple digit return on your contracts possibly. So
Yeah, the one on let's see, October 27, 2020. They had a red day the day before, and then for earnings they gapped up and they ran from 148 to 155. So that's a
wow.
big one. So
Yeah.
big name. People are just usually you're going to see the trend go in that direction. So I think we should have somewhat of an easy trade tomorrow, but I don't want to jinx it. But we'll see what happens.
Definitely.
So we got about 4 minutes here.
Yep. Lots of big wicks on the 1 minute chart. I know, right? Mr. Happy said it feels like it's been 4:26 for 4 minutes. No kidding. Okay. Oh, nice. Congrats, Mr. Happy. You got 60 days of premium for free. That's awesome, man. Welcome.
Nice. How'd you win it?
Must have been one of like
One of the
PB.
giveaways?
Oh, trivia.
Trivia.
Okay.
Oh, 60 days too. That's awesome.
Hell yeah. 2 solid months. Soak everything up that you can. Be like a sponge. Just take it all in. Okay, got about 3 more minutes here.
Nice. Yeah, happy. I have a PBU lesson tonight at 6 Eastern, so better see you there. Better put these 30 days to work.
Nice. Okay, sweet. Yep, you got 30 on this server and then 30 on the crypto server. So you got 30 extra on this one. Hell yeah.
Someone in the YouTube chat said he thinks it's going to push because the new iPhone isn't that great, but it's sold out everywhere. I mean, yeah, I could see that happening, but I feel like they're always sold out right at the start, regardless.
Yeah.
But who knows, man? You
Oh.
really just never know with this earnings stuff. That's why, I mean, if you're gonna try to trade it, you need to be, like Bull said, you need to be willing to lose 100% most likely.
Yeah. Yep. I've learned that the hard way over the years.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I remember, like, kind of right when I was first starting, I did an Apple Lotto, and they had like the biggest revenue beat like ever, and the stock actually went down. So,
Oh man,
you never know.
Soft guidance or something,
right? And
but I mean, I see what Smoke Lotta is saying on YouTube though. Like if they're sold out everywhere, then they should crush revenue, I would think.
Right.
So revenue should be good if that's the case. Again, they're going to release the data here in about a minute. And then
something else to consider with earnings, guys, is so I mean, I know like they're advertising how it's titanium or whatever, and obviously with inflation and stuff, you need to factor in the cost of things and their profit margins and stuff like that. So there's something else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, definitely the profit margin is something that's heavily looked at by investors, institutional investors and stuff like that. They want to know, okay, great, your revenue is fine, but how much profit is your profit going up or going down? If your just because you have a lot of revenue or even more revenue than before, wow, here we go, getting some action here.
Yep, 3:30. Let's see the number. Nothing yet.
I'm looking on Twitter, see if we get an update here.
Yeah, I'm just staring at my phone, waiting for it to pop up.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see.
We're moving here to 180.
Yeah. Looks bullish so far, but sometimes we get a fake out move, so just be careful if you're doing equity and after hours right now.
Come on, Twitter.
Scrolling down right now, I'm not seeing anything.
Apple EPS beat 1.46, estimated 1.39. Revenue, they barely beat 89.5 billion. Estimate was 89.35. So I don't know that that's good enough here.
They barely beat. I mean, EPS was pretty solid, 0.07 above expectations, but revenue just barely. That's going to be all about the guidance here, folks.
Yep. So just like from a psychological perspective, guys, I mean, just like we were talking about, Apple is up a lot the last 2 days, but sometimes they'll do that in case they don't beat by a lot. So when the stock comes down, it's kind of back in that original range where it came from. Yeah. So who knows? But also, I mean, I'll pull up a SPY and the Qs real quick, just so you guys can see how much this is going to affect the market.
Oh, SPY's doing almost the same thing that Apple's doing.
Yep. Qs, SPY.
Apple's, like we were saying earlier, Apple's the most heavily weighted stock in S&P, and we're seeing S&P do very similar moves here in after hours because of Apple.
Looks like we're dropping here, but again, that's why they have that earnings call after. So, sometimes they may want to come in that call and talk about how good the future looks and whatnot.
Exactly.
And kind of reverse that move. So
exactly, man. That they can be very, very positive with their guidance, and this thing can do a 180, before you know it.
Yeah. You can't trust where it is at all until they open tomorrow,
Yeah. I mean, especially, at least the minimum, the actual call at 5, if they give some solid guidance, positive, solid guidance, this thing could very easily go right back the other way to the upside.
We got some more numbers here. So they actually broke it up into iPhone, Mac, and like accessories. So the iPhone revenue was 43.81 billion. The estimate was 43.73. So they did barely beat on that. The Mac revenue, however, was much lower. The revenue came in at 7.61 billion, and they estimated 8.76. So a little over $1 billion miss there. Let's see here. Apple fourth quarter. Wearable, home, and accessories, 9.32 billion. The estimate was 9.4, so they missed on that.
Doesn't look good so far.
And then their China revenue was 15.08 billion. Estimate was 17.01, so they missed by 2 billion on that one.
Yeah, so when you break it all out into the smaller product, individual products that they're selling, it's not. It seems like maybe one product is pulling most of the weight on their revenue.
Yeah, the iPhone was the only beat, and it barely
Right.
beat. So
Yeah. If it wasn't for the iPhone, they'd be hurting.
yeah. Happy AirPods would just kind of go into the accessories, which they missed.
Yeah, accessories. Yep. Okay, about 26 more minutes before the actual call. I would think the VR headset would be accessory as well, don't you?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, it looks like Apple has a pretty strong history of beating the EPS. Like that's never a problem for them, and so it's mainly everyone's going to be looking at the revenue and then the guidance. Okay, just looking at the. Let's see what time frame you got pulled up there. Again, you got the 5 minute. Okay, yeah. We're trying to work on a 5 minute green candle right now. Let's see if it can start going the other way here. It's going to come down to the call at 5.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what SQ is up to. Okay, SQ up over 17% now. They went from about 44 up to 52.75. So pretty positive reaction to SQ earnings. Okay, 175. Let's see if we get a good push on this candle here.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Again, something else to consider. You guys may hear us talk about this a lot, but when you lotto earnings, if it actually, the stock actually just ends up going flat, maybe you get an up and then a down move or whatever, and they kind of retrace to the middle, you're going to lose on either side that you were kind of trying to lotto on.
Yep.
So it's just another thing to consider when swinging earnings.
Yep, that's the theta, right? It's the contract killer. Especially if your expiration date is in the next day or even a couple days, and you couple that with the IV crush. IV is going to come down now that the news is out. Then you're going to get hit with the theta. So yeah, I mean we've seen that before too, where it'll pump real good in after hours, and then it comes right back down to previous close, and then no one wins, no puts or calls.
Well, we'll see what this does for a couple more minutes. Bull, you planning on staying for the call?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
at 5 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, since we're probably not going to stay for the call, guys, it's just, you'll wake up tomorrow and this will either be up or down or flat. And, it is what it is. You can't really sell your options, of course, until the open, but the call may make this thing move, but it seems like just from the numbers, they're really going to have to say some good stuff to bring this thing back up. So
yeah, they're going to need a positive earnings call and give some solid guidance, which it could happen. But I'm basically just looking forward to tomorrow to play to be trading Apple. Basically, the after earnings price action is what I'm looking forward to trading tomorrow on Apple.
yeah. Lat being here in the chat is asking to go over. So it's just sometimes you don't see it every time, but with a name like Apple, maybe it's institutions trying to trap retail guys chasing the strength into earnings or whatnot. But sometimes if big money is maybe has shares down below and they don't want to go red on those, or maybe just want to protect themselves, they'll try to run up this price of the stock just in case earnings is bad. So when it does kind of retrace back down, they have that cushion from the last 2-3 days or whatever when the stock runs up. Maybe you can look at it as somewhat of manipulation. Maybe it's just an earnings run up. I mean, that's a thing. People are expecting maybe this is going to be good. Market's obviously been strong in general. So this just had 2 really strong days. So if it does pull back, really, it's only retracing the last 2 days because this came from 170.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you were in the play before 2 days ago, even if the earnings is bad and it comes back down, you're going to be kind of at break even if you entered the play, previously before 2 days ago. But just like Ethan said as well, sometimes, the analysts at some of these institutions and hedge funds, they're pretty confident when they do their due diligence. And, sometimes they'll buy into earnings expecting positive results and then go from there. So, but we have seen that a lot in the past where we'll get an earnings run up and then, just keep your eye out for that. If it runs pretty hard a day or two before the earnings, a lot of times sometimes it's taken negatively when the actual earnings are released, So it's just something to be careful of.
Yeah, I want to show you guys one on Amazon that I remember. Amazon had a low of 105 here. This is back in 2022, around the same time in October, but they had a low of 105 and they actually pushed it all the way to 120. And then 2 days before earnings came out, it sold off a little bit, and then you just see it get smashed, and then it just keeps going. So,
even the last time Amazon did earnings, there was like a 2 or 3 day sell off, and then right when earnings was announced, the very next day it went on a huge run.
Yeah, here you go, right here.
Yeah, right there. So there was like 2-3 days leading up to that earnings. It was straight selling, and then earnings came out, and then it pushed hard. So just be on the lookout. Like if you see something pumping hard or selling off hard a couple days before earnings, sometimes it'll go the other direction once the earnings are out. It's not 100%, but it's just a little indication, kind of makes you think, why is the stock running up so much and the earnings aren't even out yet? Because they're trying to probably get out of their longs because they could be expecting negative earnings. So they run it up before the earnings so that they can get out of their longs. And then after earnings, it sells off. And same thing on vice versa. 2-3 days before earnings, you start seeing it sell off quite a bit. It kind of makes you think, okay, then they're probably going to, they're driving the price down to get a discount because they're expecting positive earnings. And then right after the earnings, you'll see it run. So just something to keep your eye on. Again, it's not 100%, but it makes you think, why is this happening right before earnings? It's usually because they're going to take it the other way after the earnings. So.
Yeah, you never want to follow the crowd in this game. You want to kind of try to think independently, because if everyone was right all the time, everyone would be making money, and that's usually not what you want to do. And Bull, I don't know if you're here or not, but another indication that you can look at, and for you guys that were here at market close, I said that there was some really big sell orders right at the close. So, since Apple, obviously had earnings here after hours, if you look at times and sales right at the close of the day, I saw 2 7 mil share order sells. So, 7 million shares is not, insane for Apple, but, it's still a lot of money, right?
It's a good amount of money there. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
let's just do the math on that. Let's go 7 million shares times, what do we close at? About 178. So I got to turn my calculator sideways here for that.
Yeah, it was right around 178, a little bit less, but
I don't know if that's
around there.
1.2 billion or not. My phone won't switch over, but let's just call it, let's just say 1.2 billion. So, pretty crazy. So 2 orders of that too. So,
Yep. Okay, Apple working on a second 5-minute green candle here, leading up to the call at 5 p.m.
well, I think that's probably it. But what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, final thoughts. Just just keep in mind, especially if you're long on Apple. If you were long on Apple before the regular session ended, don't get stressed out over this little down move that it had. Look at the percentage. Technically, in after hours, it's not even. It's down about 1%. Okay, which is not a lot. And this very easily could go right back the other way depending on the earnings call here in about 16 minutes. So just keep it on your chart. Have the 5-minute chart, maybe the 1-minute chart side by side, and you can start. You can tell if it's starting to recover or not. Like I said, it's just printed 2 5-minute green candles. Working on a third one. A little bit of indecision. About 15 more minutes, probably get another move as well. But other than that, yeah, I hope everyone has a great night, and it was good chatting with everybody.
Sweet. All right, guys, y'all take care. I got a lesson here in about an hour and 15, so feel free to hop in for that. We're going over support and resistance and zones as well, supply and demand. So see you guys then. If not, see you in the morning.
Cheers, y'all. Bye.